That's basically the whole story. Or should be. How could they possibly sack him when he came up with this obvious, lazy lie in an attempt to defend himself? So it's exactly what everyone thought. You were pissed up, and you made this racist fucking post. The explanations don't even make any sense, bro. I hope Talk TV sues him. I hope they sue him. I would not let an employer clone my phone. However, this guy's still a lying fuck. You know, like, the announcement they say, oh yeah, Mike Graham's not coming back. That's North Korean. It's a bit North Korean, isn't it? Getting fired from your job. It's a bit North Korean in here. So, guys, Mike Graham. Do we all know who Mike Graham is? Hopefully you're all aware. He was a Talk TV presenter who was famous, very famous for this clip. Famous for other things too, but...
Morning, Mike.
Oh, hello. What are you glued to, Cameron?
Just your screen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got smoke in my eye a minute ago.
What do you do for a living, Cameron?
Kind of irritated it.
I'm a carpenter.
Very annoying.
Carpenter, right. So how safe is that for the climate?
Well, I work with timber, which is a much more sustainable material rather than concrete. I also
But you work with trees that have been cut down then, don't you?
It's a sustainable building practice.
How is it sustainable if you're killing trees?
Because it's regenerative, you can grow trees.
Right. Well, you can grow all sorts of things, can't you?
Well, you can't grow concrete.
You can. See you, Cameron. Cheerio. That was Cameron. He grows trees and then cuts them down and then makes things from them. Brilliant. Marvellous. I don't think I ever want to talk to any of those people.
I never want to talk to anyone like that again. Dude. Oh my god. So yeah, that's Mike Graham. That's Mike Graham. That's his most famous moment, I'd say. Especially like in the world media. He's also just like a dickhead, like right-wing commentator. Other than that, obviously. Now, he was suspended. And I've kind of missed the story. I've kind of glossed over this story. But it's developed even more. He was suspended from Talk TV after a set of Twitter and Facebook posts made on his account. He claimed these posts were made by a hacker. Okay? So, he claimed they were made by a hacker. Talk TV said, alright, Mike, you said they were made by a hacker. We got a digital forensics team we're going to bring in. You work with this digital forensics team to figure out who this hacker was, and we can catch him. We can catch him. But he refused to work with them. So let's just go over exactly what happened here. So Mike Graham has been sacked from Talk Breakfast Show after a vile racist post to his Facebook page, which he insisted was hacked. The journalist, 65, was suspended from the Morning Glory show soon after the post was published. But it was confirmed today he will not be returning. The post featured the statue of Churchill alongside a picture of a crowded tube carriage. With the caption, "Tell me we're not fucked by multicultural bollocks. Why are we surrounded by non-white people? Just fuck off." Which was accompanied by a picture of former Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill's statue by Big Ben next to the train picture, whose passengers included a woman wearing a hijab. After considerable backlash, the former Scottish Mirror editor deleted the post and insisted it was made as a result of his Facebook page being hacked. But keen-eyed viewers were quick to point out that an almost identical photo of the statue of Winston Churchill had been posted on Graham's X account just moments before the Facebook post was published. So, doesn't really seem like that was a hack, does it? If it's been going up on multiple accounts at the same time. Or around the same time. As if you've, you know, been in a fucking rage posting about Muslims. So, yeah, and then here's the post. Compare and contrast. Tell me we're not fucked by multicultural bollocks. Why are we surrounded by non-white people? Just fuck off. So, yeah, just these photos of just people on the tube. Seems like there's an Asian guy. There's a woman in a hijab. There's a white guy back there. I don't know. It's hard to tell what race this guy is. It's just like, yeah, well, I don't know what you want, bro. Yeah, it's London. It's a world city, bro. Like, what do you want? What do you want? So that's really the story. That's basically the whole story. Or should be. You see, people latched onto this specifically some GB News types like Dan Wootton, latched onto this and claimed this was as a result of some kind of like internal war. Like I don't quite know what the claim is really. So we're going to try and look into it.
I also wanted to say a personal apology.
Breaking today, axed Talk TV star Mike Graham has spoken out for the first time since his suspension from the station after he was accused of sending a racist Instagram post, which he claims was as a result of his account being hacked. Now, there's a huge amount going on behind the scenes. I'm the only person who has reported on this. The mainstream media have, for some reason, pretended that this whole crisis just isn't going on at Murdoch's company. Again, totally bizarre. But Mike Graham has called in heavy-hitting lawyers. He has refused to hand his phone over to the investigators for News UK.
Dude.
Not surprising, given, let's be honest, what's News UK most famous for? Hacking phones. But in a quite extraordinary development over the weekend, Talk
that's
TV
why, right?
has now turned off replies on its own X account. Yes, that's right. The free speech channel will not let its own viewers
they're eating each
engage
other.
because so many of them are boycotting the station and demanding the return of Mike Graham. I would argue, in a sign of what's to come, Mike Graham today issued his first public statement since being axed. It was on video. It had a similar backdrop to that we're used to seeing of him on Talk TV. And it was to make the announcement that his live show next week, which had been heavily trailed and heavily promoted on Talk before his suspension, alongside Jeremy Kyle, who is ironically now presenting Mike's show. Yeah, it's a complicated web. Has been cancelled or at least postponed until next year. Let's look at what Mike Graham had to say.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, and I just wanted to say a special heartfelt thank you to all of you brilliant listeners and viewers who have sent me some of the most fantastic messages of support over the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate it. I've read every single one, and they really do give me great encouragement. So thank you again. I also wanted to say a personal apology about having to cancel the show at the Shepherd's Bush Empire, The World of Common Sense, this week. But don't worry,
So,
it'll be
okay,
back next
I don't
month.
really care about this because Dan Wootton's got a full interview with Mike Graham that we're going to watch. But I want, yeah, so I want to know about this claimed civil war. Are you saying Alistair Campbell should be in jail? Fuck off.
Breaking today, the explosive civil war inside Talk TV has gone public. And let me tell you, folks, this is now getting messy. So you know the MSM have completely ignored this story, but it's significant because it involves the mainstream media, the future of the independent media, and the fact that Mike Graham has effectively been sacked for a post on Facebook, which he claims he didn't write. And of course, within that
That's obvious bullshit.
lineup, the person who has been boosted, and I just couldn't believe this, is a man called Mark Dolan. There he is, filling the spot that was previously Mr. Graham's and lobbying to replace him on the breakfast
How can
show.
they sack him when he came up with this obvious lie to defend himself? How could they possibly sack him when he came up with this obvious lazy lie in an attempt to defend himself? Like, what? Why do you believe it was hacked?
Morning Glory behind the scenes, which both Jeremy Kyle and Kevin O'Sullivan, who are close friends,
But they even most people just fucking sack him. They even gave him the chance to comply with an investigation and figure out who the hacker was.
of Mike Graham, don't particularly want to host. But the problem is that those inside the station think that Mark Dolan is going to move the station to the, how do we put it? The mundane middle, I might say, the Tory trivia. And that was made clear last night when Mark Dolan boasting about the fact that he was hosting Mike Graham's Friday show, posted, Adam Peaty's brother has been arrested over allegations he sent threats to the Olympian during his stag do. Swimmer Adam needed a police escort at Manchester Airport after the trip to Budapest. Full coverage tomorrow on Talk TV from 6 till 10 a.m. Kevin O'Sullivan simply posted, who? But he did so publicly. And that slapdown of Mark Dolan is said to represent the civil war behind the scenes at the station over the sacking of Mike Graham. And the viewer boycott continues. I mean, my goodness, you should see the comments when my friend Howard Cox posted the fact that he was going to be on Plank of the Week, which is going ahead with Kevin O'Sullivan.
I'm sorry, I just do not believe there are enough Mike Graham fans in the fucking country to actually do a meaningful boycott of Talk TV.
Despite the fact that its audience figures have plummeted. Now, so far, only Russell Quirk. And by the way, I love Russell Quirk. No, he's a Reform UK guy. Don't agree with him on everything. Certainly not his views on Tommy Robinson. But I think he's such a good, loyal man. And he has been, thus far, the only talk presenter prepared to raise his head above the parapet and directly question management over the decision, not just to sack Mike, but also what this means for the station. And the fact that really this is probably now the beginning of the end. Watch. Dan Wootton Outspoken is available as a podcast too. So to listen or watch us on the go... Oh my God, the
shilling, bro, the shilling.
Back to talk. As a consequence, has been, I think we need to go to the subject of Mike Graham, because over the last 4 weeks, there has been, I think it's fair to say, no pun intended, radio silence by Talk until yesterday when it was announced on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show that Mike effectively is not coming back to Talk as a consequence of this debacle over this post that appeared on his social media, which he says was placed by somebody else by way of a hack, but that effectively said the following, that he had an issue with the fact that multiculturalism had not worked. I think what should have happened here is that Mike perhaps should have been urged to clarify, make an explanation as to what he'd said in that post, if indeed it was him, and, you know, to offer an apology, and then for News UK to say, look, we employ people with strong opinions. We employ people that say things that are bold and that not everybody agrees with. So in this kind of pang of, some might say, kind of woke morality on the part of News UK to get rid of someone that dares to say something that some people might think is a bit offensive and a bit odd and a bit wrong, they're now in a position where, if you look at the breakfast show since Mike was benched, the ratings have halved. I think the bosses have made a catastrophic mistake commercially, but also in terms
of... Are the rating figures public? What? How do I find, like, ratings figures? Monthly viewing by channel/service? What does it come under on here? Let me pull this up. Oh, and it goes up to July as well, but that's not recent enough. Oh, wait. Most recent report? October. Here we go. Here we go. Which one of these is Talk TV? Does anyone know? News UK isn't one on here. There's no news media or anything. Okay, I don't know how to find figures. I literally don't have to verify that.
Standing up for the right to free speech. So on the basis that the Plank of the Week show that I was just referencing has now seen its audience halve from 300,000 a week to about 150,000 because of Mike Graham's absence. And his show, The Breakfast Show, which it looks like now might be taken over by Jeremy, I don't know, I don't think he knows yet, actually. The commercial implications of what's happened here, I'm afraid, I think now put a big question mark, not over just the commercial viability of Talk itself, but also its very future.
Well, they do, because remember, at the moment, viewers are switching off in their droves. Mike Graham is promising that he will be returning to air, including running the popular segments like Plank of the Week within weeks. And this is all the station has said. This is all they have said on air. Watch.
News UK, the parent company of the station Talk, has made the following statement. Their statement reads as follows: "We were made aware of an abhorrent and vile post on Mike Graham's social platform several weeks ago. Mike Graham said this was not posted by him, and he agreed to cooperate with a company investigation using an independent forensic firm. He later reneged on several opportunities to cooperate with the company investigation."
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. It's not even like he straight up refused to cooperate with an investigation. He said he would and then didn't. So what is the possible? In what world is there a defence of him here? I don't understand.
We have been gravely concerned at his repeated failure to cooperate on such a serious matter, and the decision has been taken that Mike Graham will not return to talk.
So that was it. And what they're doing now, what the management are doing now, is briefing against Mike Graham into the mainstream media. Now, this is exactly what GB News did to me and actually continues to do to me to this day. And it's like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because the viewers understand why I did what I did, why Mike did what he did. And these sort of
Why did he do it?
attacks, I think, do not go down well.
I don't think anyone can explain why Mike has done anything that he's done. Why did he post those comments? Why did he lie about it? Why did he agree to comply with the investigation? Why did he renege? Please, I'd love an answer to any of these, but there's none in here.
Oh, but I'll read it to you. I'll tell you what they say because I want to show both sides of the story.
I don't even understand the claim of civil war. What is the civil war? Who's it between? It feels like that hasn't been explained at all.
This from the Daily Express. A TV insider, in other words, someone working for Rebecca Brooks and Talk TV, has revealed the real reason why Mike Graham was fired from Talk TV. And they go on to say that a source from News UK, the parent company of Talk, has given an insight into the real reason behind Graham's removal. They exclusively told the Daily Express Mike Graham had to go. He had to go. He claimed that his phone had been hacked, but everyone was skeptical of that explanation. He claimed that someone had hacked his Facebook account, but also hacked his iCloud and posted the offensive statement. News UK bosses gave him the benefit of the doubt and told him they would allow Mike and his legal representation to stand in a room with two forensic phone experts who would be able to go through his phone and figure out if he was actually hacked, who hacked the phone and what else they accessed.
So we're just skipping over the fact that it was going to be done in the room with him, with his lawyer present. And you were claiming, oh, well, Mike might be worried about him hacking his phone. They were going to do it in front of him with his lawyer present. And you think they're going to hack his phone? There's like no reasonable explanation here. It's crazy.
While Mike initially agreed to submitting his phone, he didn't turn up on the agreed date and time. So News UK gave him another date. And again, Mike did not turn up. This happened 4 times. 4 times he refused to hand over his phone. So News UK took the decision to end their working relationship with him. Mike was told he was sacked by the big boss. And they explained the reason behind the decision. To Connor Tomlinson now, host of the independent show Tomlinson Talks on YouTube. Connor, first up, I don't believe Mike Graham should have handed over his phone. I mean, that's an incredibly dangerous thing to do to a company like News UK. By the way, there has been loads of evidence and examples over the years of News UK actually handing over confidential journalistic sourcing to the police, Connor, to try and save their own necks. So Mike Graham, I know for a fact, had all of his private journalistic conversations on that device. It was a personal device, Connor. It was not a device owned by News UK. Do you see what I mean? It wasn't a work phone. So the fact that News UK think that they can say, and remember, News UK, biggest phone hackers, in history, can say, well, we're sacking him because he didn't hand over his phone. For me, I don't think that really is going to fly as an explanation.
What?
Certainly not amongst Talk viewers. What?
Well, okay, so he's sacked for not handing over his phone after that post. Obviously, the post, 100%, seems to have been made by him. So he's being sacked for the post and how he handled it. It's very obvious why he's being sacked. How are they playing dumb? How does this work on anyone? It's crazy.
What do you think? But first, as we get older, you notice it. After a cold day, hard workout, even a long week, recovery just isn't as
rude, and belligerent, and quite dismissive. And so that's part of the charm that people that like listening to him enjoyed listening to. It was, however, something that caused him to lose allies. As I've discussed with you before, Dan, on your show, Mike decided to attempt to shit on people like me from a great height, and so has shrunk the number of people willing to come to his defense based on principle. And the reason is, as well, is because Mike's basically set this principle for himself. I mean, first of all, the insinuation here is, of course, that if News UK didn't feel that they had sufficient evidence without a forensic audit to prove that Mike had been hacked.
This guy got massive.
What the suggestion seems to have been is Mike, drunk or sober, had made the ill-advised post and upset people with whom he shares a floor at TalkSport, caused discord in the building, and the News UK didn't think they could defend it. So Mike probably shouldn't have claimed that he was hacked if he wasn't willing to provide evidence of it, because there are big question marks about that. I mean,
reasonable.
For example, I wanted an ex-girlfriend break into my Facebook accounts to monitor what I was saying for some time, and I could find out where, when, and using which IP address or phone she had used to get into the accounts. That's all available via Facebook. So Mike could have just provided that as a screenshot to News UK, presumably as a piece of evidence that he was hacked. If he didn't, then, well, we can only presume he wasn't hacked. But also, the other problem is that Mike, as I mentioned last time, in 2021, I believe it was, after the Euros, after Saka and Sterling missed their penalties, and England came second, lots of people, it seems, from Russia and Saudi Arabia put some abusive, racist messages online, and there was a big moral panic.
What insane cope. Dude. The racist messages from Russia and Saudi Arabia. Are you kidding, bro? Are you kidding? You think it was Russians and Saudi Arabians putting banana emojis and monkey emojis and all this shit on fucking Saka's posts after missing that penalty? That's what you think happened? You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Worse than that, you think everyone watching's a fucking idiot. This is just so bizarre. What an insane cope, dude.
In the English press about rampant racism in Britain against black football players. And Mike, the following day, had said, well, you know, we don't want racists in the country. If you're racist, you can leave or you can go to prison. Ta-ta. And it's like, well, Mike, unfortunately, when you post stuff like that, when you've already said that people deserve to be not just deplatformed, but, you know, ostracized from civilization, well, you set up the standard for it to happen to you too.
Yeah, and of course, and I mean, people can go back and watch our previous conversation, Connor, but he's also made, I think, some really unfair comments about Tommy Robinson. But I'm also excited to see Mike outside of the mainstream too, because I have a feeling, especially once he's gone through something like this, I mean, certainly from my point of view, Connor, as soon as you are free from those shackles, and it was the shackles we were speaking about earlier in the show, right? Because for all intents and purposes, as independent as Mike and I tried to be on a whole load of different issues, certainly when you're at Talk, ultimately your boss is Rupert Murdoch and he does patrol the content. And for me at GB News, ultimately your boss is Paul Marshall and he does patrol the content. So I am excited to see this new era. And I think what's great, and certainly having had conversations...
Okay, I think we get the idea here. I still don't understand what they're claiming is the Civil War. What is this internal war they're talking about? It makes no sense to me. It's coming out of nowhere.
No spin.
Right. Here we go, though. Mike Graham gave an interview. He was on Dan Wootton's show. Let's have a look.
Because you know a lot of people, Mike, have been saying, oh, come on, Mike, you just got hammered at the Battle of Ideas. You know, you were on the white. Like, what actually did happen that day?
Yeah, well, we did the show. We went for a couple of drinks afterwards, and I went home, you know, very early. At sort of 5 or...
So you were pissed and you made this racist post, weren't you? So it's exactly what everyone thought. You were pissed up and you made this racist fucking post.
6 o'clock, you know, and so... I've already said that I didn't post it. I've already made that statement when I was asked to make it by News on the following day.
Oh my God.
And I didn't see the post at all because I don't generally use Facebook an awful lot.
And this is the post. This is the post in case people didn't see it.
Okay.
Compare and contrast. Tell me we're not fucked by multicultural bollocks. Why are we surrounded by non-white people? Just fuck off. So you had no idea that that post had been made on your Facebook?
I had no idea.
Until when?
Until the next morning when I was live on the show. And I started getting a couple of messages from people saying, have you seen this? And I had a quick look at it. And you know what it's like when it's like somebody saying to you while you're on the show, can you just check this out? So, you know, went to an advert break, had a look and went, crikey, I wonder what that is, and just deleted it. immediately.
Right.
And really didn't think any more of it because it was it was about 7 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And finished the show and went home, basically, thinking that would be the end of it, because I thought, I didn't even really look at when it was posted. I didn't really understand why it was there. I certainly didn't recognise the picture. There were 2 pictures. Didn't recognise the train picture. And I just thought something very weird has gone on. And I knew that in the past, people had said to me that they've had their Facebook accounts accessed. And so, you know.
And Russell Quirk said a week before this post, your phone had been stolen. Is that true?
No, that's not true. Not my phone. My phone was stolen the previous year in September of 24. What had happened, though, to me was that the back window of my car had been smashed in while it was parked in an NCP car park around the back of London Bridge, around the back of Guy's Hospital, which I thought was a bit
why
unusual.
NCP detail?
Not least because they didn't take anything. They took an old jacket, which was in the back of the car. There was a case of wine.
So what's the claim here? You had your fucking password written down on a little slip of paper in the jacket or something, man. What's the claim here?
Everybody's a connoisseur
what are we
of
saying
these things, you know. So maybe they didn't want the wine, or you'd think they would have taken like 1 bottle of it or something. But they just smashed the back window and took this old jacket, which I've literally had since about the 1980s, which I used to keep there because I would put it on if it was really cold at the beach when I was walking the dog. And I thought that was curious. And I mentioned it to a couple of people at News, and they didn't seem to be that bothered, you know?
Because I'm just trying to understand, is it possible...
I told people at work my car got broken into and no one cared. All right.
That this was part of a campaign against you. I mean, if you look at this post from Charlotte Gill, you know, the brilliant right-wing commentator online, and she said, Mike Graham does not speak like this. Also, this account below, used in the article as some sort of proof Mike did it, is a far-left account. And the hacker absolutely could have used the picture Mike just posted on Twitter moments beforehand. People
if he was hacked on both accounts at the same time, yeah, maybe. Now show us any evidence that was the case.
So she seems to be suggesting, Mike, Charlotte Gill, that this could have been a hard left campaign to get you cancelled. Do you think there's any...
I think there are plenty of people out there who really don't like what I do. I was one of the only people who was consistently, every single day, sticking it to Keir Starmer and this useless Labour government, as they are.
Dude, I've heard a lot of insane, detached things in the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I think that one, I don't think we're going to top that one. I'm the only guy talking shit about Keir Starmer. I was the only guy talking shit about Keir... Mike, he's the most unpopular Prime Minister in British history. Mike. Everyone's talking shit about Keir Starmer. You can't move for people talking shit about Keir Starmer.
Are being proved to be with every day that gets closer to Christmas. You know, I was the first person to say back in summer of last year that he won't last the pace. He won't go all the way to 2027 or 2029 even. And it looks like that's going to turn out to be true because it looks like Rachel Reeves is going to fall. He's going to fall. So there were, you know, I mean, I've asked myself if there's some kind of involvement politically. I mean, I just don't know. But I mean, certainly there are plenty of left-wingers who absolutely hate my guts, you know, and we'll talk more about them later.
Have you had any leads, like any idea of who might have wanted to do this to see you cancelled?
Not really, because it could be, it's literally anybody. I mean, look at what's happened today, for example. There's been a massive sort of internet outage, which took half of the internet down. You know, there was another one just a few weeks ago. I mean, clearly, you know, I've had a lot of people saying, oh, of course you weren't hacked. You know, if you were, you'd be able to prove it. Oh, really? Well, you can't prove who hacked Jaguar Land Rover. You don't know who hacked anyone. I mean, they don't necessarily leave a footprint, these people, you know? So
what about the people who say, Mike, okay, you forgot that you had posted that. Is it possible, and you know I have to ask the question, is it possible that you had a few drinks the night before and you just forgot that you made that post? Is there any possibility of that? No chance.
Absolutely no chance.
Because that was something I believe some of your colleagues wanted you to do, sort of hold your hands up and say, look, I you know, this was a mistake and I was drinking too much, and you were very offended by that.
Absolutely, because I've been in these kinds of situations before, you know. There was a big to do with James O'Brien, who tried to sue me.
Yes.
Once when I called him a pedo apologist, right? But he didn't realise there wasn't a comma between the two words. So in fact, there was no case to answer. But obviously, it caused a bit of a furore because it was trending on Twitter for like an entire weekend, and millions of people joined in. And of course, at that point, you realise the people who like James O'Brien are going to pile in, and the people who like me are going to defend me. And there'd been a couple of earlier episodes as well with Liverpool Football Club, with Celtic, and I'd always held my hands up and gone, look, I made a mistake. Sorry.
So if you posted this, you would have admitted that you posted it.
Of course.
And you don't agree with the sentiments of the post?
No, I don't actually. I mean, a lot of people say, why don't you just, it wasn't that bad anyway. Why don't you just admit it? Why don't you just embrace it? Well, I would if I had done it, but I can't.
Because, for example, Father Calvin Robinson came on this show.
I saw.
And said he didn't think there was anything wrong with the post. He didn't think that the post was abhorrent, and he does believe that as a white English native, you do have a right to discuss why you are a minority in the biggest city
to be honest, I mean,
in the country.
To be honest, I've said an awful lot of things similar to that on the air, and nobody's ever objected to it. I've talked about areas of London which you don't see any white people in. When you go to Tower Hamlets, for example, we know about what happened in Birmingham with Aston Villa and the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans who
Yeah, what happened? What did the police say again, Mike?
were told, we can't guarantee your safety.
That's not what happened, is it, Mike?
In a city like Birmingham, because there's so many Muslims in there who don't like Jews. This has been an ongoing conversation that we've been having.
Yeah. So if you had posted it, you would have held your hands up and said, yep, this is something I believe, bring it on. Okay, so then that Monday morning, you still broadcast. So you go through the...
Like, he just said, right, he said, I don't believe that. I don't agree with that post, but I've said a lot of similar things on my show. Why wouldn't I just own it? I say basically that anyway. So do you agree with it or do you not agree with it, you fucking idiot?
Whole 4 hours, and this is just what happened on that day.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. It is coming up to 3 minutes past 6. It is Monday morning, the 20th of October. Julie Hartley-Pires here. Very good morning.
We're not down. We're going.
We're still going. Yeah, it's called radio.
Just wind it up.
Right.
And you come off air, Mike, and post on X. On Sunday night, my Facebook was accessed and a vile message was posted on my page without my knowledge. It contained words that I would never write and an opinion I don't share. As soon as I found out, I immediately deleted the post and have taken steps to ensure my cybersecurity is enhanced. Obviously, I am mortified that such a post could have gone out in my name and am now attempting to find out how it could have happened. I am equally very sorry for the distress it has caused.
So again, is he mortified that such a post could go out in his name? Or does he say shit like that on his show all the time and no one has a problem with it? Which one is it, Mike? Dude, the explanations don't even make any sense, bro.
Did you write that or did someone make you write that?
I wrote it, but it was an agreed kind of, tone, shall we say.
Sort of the hostage video apology. We've all been there, Mike.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was asked to do it on the basis, and I posted it on Facebook as well. I was asked to do it because that was thought at the time would sort of take the heat out of it, right?
Which is what people always say, and it never does.
It didn't.
It never helps.
It really didn't.
It makes it worse, actually. Because what maybe you didn't know at the time, although I'm interested to find out, there had been this campaign with Talk Sport. Now, a lot of people might think, I mean, you were a star of Talk Sport, right?
Yeah, very
and
much so.
Talk Sport used to be an anti-woke station. But in recent years, under the ownership of News UK, Talk Sport, and I remember, by the way, when I was at Talk in 2020, our two stations went completely in the opposite directions over the whole Black Lives Matter thing.
Very much.
We were speaking out against the madness on Talk Radio at the time. On Talk Sport, they were going mad.
Sorry, and I was going to say, and they were kind of, we were saying how ridiculous it was to take the
Oh,
knee.
guys, that actually reminds me. Last night on Kick, many people wouldn't have been here for this. We watched a video. We found out, do you know George Floyd was a rapper? Do you guys know George Floyd was a rapper? He was called Big Floyd. He worked with DJ Screw. There's a bunch of George Floyd rap music. Isn't that epic?
And they were celebrating it.
They loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. And there's a presenter there, black presenter, called Aid Aladipo. And he had been part of the Civil War, and for a long time, Talk Sport presenters and staff had been unhappy with your broadcasting on Talk. And so he used this as an opportunity and posted on X, just been sent that now deleted Instagram post from Mike Graham, because I think it did go up on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
I usually hold my tongue with most of the racist nonsense I see on social media, but this is beyond vile and unacceptable, and then in uppercase, from someone in the same building as me, same floor. He simply has to be taken off the air immediately by Talk TV. Horrible man. And of course, they did exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, you were immediately taken off air, and I believe it was this post on X which started the ball rolling on that. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right, yeah.
So who is this guy? Do you know him?
I have no
Have you
idea
met him?
who he is. I've never met him. I've never seen him. And I find it quite upsetting, actually, and quite honestly, incredibly difficult to believe that there is this kind of underbelly of people at TalkSport who hate me, because you know what that floor's like. I walked in every single morning at just before 5 o'clock, and I...
So I guess... So what, the claim is that the black guy on TalkSport is really woke and wants Mike Graham gone. Are you sure it's not? Right, okay, and this is going to be crazy, okay? I'm going to suggest something that removes a lot of the conspiratorial element here and instead assumes that things are actually far more face value than these people are claiming. Have we considered that maybe this black guy who works at TalkSport didn't just see that post and think, man, I really fucking hate working with this racist dickhead who's posting about how he wants non-white people to be gone from the country. I'm non-white, and I don't want to leave the fucking country. Could that potentially be? Could that be more explanatory here of why this is happening, as opposed to some Machiavellian plan?
And I find it quite upsetting, actually, and quite honestly, incredibly difficult to believe that there is this kind of underbelly of people at TalkSport who hate me, because... You know what that floor's like. I walked in every single morning at just before 5 o'clock, and I would say good morning to everybody. I never got the sense that people didn't like me. I didn't get the sense that there was any kind of, I don't know, people shrinking away from not looking at me or not, being happy to see me. I mean, we had a pretty good working relationship. I never encountered...
But this has been briefed from TalkSport. I mean, let me just read you the Express's reporting on this. They actually described it as a civil war, Mike, and this was a source from TalkSport after that post had gone up, saying it's like civil war has broken out on the shop floor. What the public don't understand is that TalkSport and Talk Radio are very different channels in the same building on the same floor. At Sport, we have people of all different colours working alongside each other peacefully. We're one big happy team, and the bosses at News UK know that. But at Talk Radio, their agenda and output is highly charged to make migrants and minorities feel like the enemy. The fact that Mike Graham can post some of the trash he does normally and nobody in senior management has told him off before is a disgrace. But his Facebook post is the final straw. So that was someone from TalkSport briefing the Express
But the
newspaper.
way that, look at how they've described Talk there. It makes it sound as if it's some kind of white supremacist organisation. I mean, we had a very mixed...
Talk Radio and their agenda and output is highly charged to make migrants and minorities feel like the enemy. What was it you said again? Why are we surrounded by all these non-white faces? Just fuck off already.
So that was someone from TalkSport.
I'd say that's
briefing the
accurate.
Express.
I'd say that's fine.
Look at how they've described Talk there. It makes it sound as if it's some kind of white supremacist organisation. I mean, we had a very mixed group of people there. I mean, yes, on air there weren't that many members of the ethnic minorities. There had been. But, we've got plenty of guests who are, not white. We've got plenty of people working behind the scenes who are not white. And they were all very happy to do so. It wasn't, it was not like that. And so I think there's somebody at TalkSport there with an agenda, maybe, speaking for a very small number of people.
But as far as you were aware, you didn't have any personal...
None at all.
...beef with any of the TalkSport?
No.
Had they ever approached you?
Not once. In fact, quite the opposite. I mean, I got on very well with all of them. There was always, because you'd see them by the coffee machine or you'd see them on the way out. Or, sometimes even I'd be out for drinks. People would have leaving dues. There was never
So
a
you
sense...
had no idea that this was going on?
Absolutely none.
Then, in terms of the actual logistics of the post, Mike, a couple of lefties went viral, and I just wanted to get you to respond because I think it's an important part of the story. So Henry Morris posted, "Impressive that the hacker used the picture you just posted on Twitter moments beforehand." And someone called Matthew Leggett said they must have also accessed your phone and iCloud since the two images of Churchill and Big Ben are different and were snapped seconds apart. Do you know what the answer is to that? Did they access that as well?
One of the things I'll
Dude, wait. It's his picture of the Churchill statue. Wait, dude. So there are two different pictures of this Churchill statue posted between the pages. One of them's taken like 1 second, the next taken like the next second, like someone with a phone has stood there and taken pictures of a fucking the Churchill statue. That's so crazy. How can you be so blatant? That's insane, bro. What? So there's like no excuse. They would literally have had to have full access to his phone, basically. Is there on his Twitter, Facebook, and iCloud. Because they've got photos from his fucking camera.
describe later probably is that...
Oh, fuck, 1 minute. My audio's fucked up. 1 second.
One of the first things I did was I got in touch with a cybersecurity...
No, tell me now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with a cybersecurity guy because I thought, well, if I've been hacked, I need to know what that means.
100%.
I need to know exactly what happens next and what I do. And we get into the picture in a minute, but he basically said to me, he said, you're a very high-risk individual. He said, you've got a very high profile. You've got a public platform. You say controversial things. Your sort of internet access, your phones, your iPads, all of your devices should have been protected to the max.
And they were.
And they were not. And he was astonished. He said, I can't believe that, you know, that the company would let
comply with the investigation.
walk around with a phone.
So you were
that's undetected. Yeah. I didn't have any two-factor identification. I didn't even know about that.
Dude.
I didn't know how to get any kind of... I mean, he for me, brought
I'm
in...
pretty sure,
sort of
even back then, like, it wasn't that long ago, I'm pretty sure Facebook requires 2FA. Like, I don't think this is a thing.
Piece of software and put it on everything I had. And he said, I can't believe you haven't got this. He said, how have you not got this? And I'm like... Well, I just never really thought about it. You know, it's not something I'm not technically particularly savvy. I mean, I can just about, you know, now that I'm in the Substack world, I still can't even work out how to get onto my own Substack and do anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm like kind of like, you know, an idiot when it comes to that stuff. I know how to tweet. I know how to put things on Facebook, but I didn't know about all this two-step
And did
stuff.
they say to you, we think you've been hacked? The cybersecurity expert.
Yes.
And then how are you told... Mike, you're not going on air tomorrow morning, and we want you to provide us with your phone. How were you told that was happening?
I was asked to go to a meeting on the Tuesday with the head of HR.
Knowing that you weren't going to be on air that day?
No. Oh, sorry, yes. I guess so I'd been told on the Monday, you know, I don't think the words were, we don't think it's a good idea to put you on the air tomorrow.
It's just temporary.
Yeah. And I'd said, fine, okay, I understand. And then I was asked to go into a meeting on the Tuesday, at which a whole bunch of things happened, which, again, I'll get into. And I was told, you're not suspended, but we want you to take some leave, effectively. And I said, well, how long do you think? And they said, about a week, something like that. And then they asked to look at my phone, which I let them do, you know, because this is the other part about me saying that, you know, it's wrong for them to say that I didn't cooperate with the investigation, because I did.
So you handed your phone over to the HR representative in that meeting?
No, I let them look at it while we were sitting there. They went into my Facebook activity log, saw that there was nothing there, looked at my picture log, saw that that picture from the tube train wasn't there, and that was the end of that.
So you didn't even take
Went to his activity log and saw there was nothing there. If you went to the activity log, you would see a login from a new location. That's what you would see in the activity log. No? Am I crazy? The activity log isn't like, oh, what have you posted recently from this phone? The activity log is like, what activity is there on your account? has your account been at? What IPs accessed your account? What devices accessed your account?
Picture on the tube.
No.
He just like, it's so blatant, man. It's crazy. I hope Talk TV sues him. I hope they sue him.
Don't remember being in that carriage or anything like that.
I did take the tube that night. I take the tube home because it's the quickest way to get home.
Yeah, but that particular picture, there's no evidence that you ever took that picture. It's not on your phone.
No.
It's not. Okay, fascinating.
No.
Fascinating.
Because again, I'll tell you what we later did. But so at that point, they said, we might want to look at your phone more forensically. And again, I didn't really understand what that meant. And I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, we'd like to take your phone and your iPad overnight, and we'll give you another phone so that you've still got a phone. And I said, well, why would you want to do that? And they said, well, because we need it to mirror it, to basically take a copy of everything that's on the phone so that we can investigate further, so that we can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that, you know, that what you say happened actually happened. And I said, well, what if you can't prove that? Because it might not be possible. Some things are not provable. And so I just said, look, I don't feel very comfortable about that. I don't feel...
Okay, I understand not wanting your phone mirrored. But then you can post evidence, right? It's no problem, because he's not with Talk anymore. He's been fired, he's lost his job. So he can just post the evidence on his Twitter account now, can't he? He can just screenshot his account activity log. He can just show the logins from around that time. And he can just show us that there was some login from fucking Iraq or some shit. Right? It'd be easy. Should be no problem, right, Mike?
Feel very comfortable about handing my phone to you because I also wanted to give it to their lawyers.
And this is your personal phone, it's not a company phone,
It's not a company phone, it's my personal phone, it's my personal iPad.
And you also use it for all your journalism?
Yeah, for everything. I mean, I've basically, I mean, when I looked back at what I had in my phone, I mean, I think I got my first iPhone in 2004.
I'm sure.
There are pictures on there from 2004, pictures of my kids, pictures of my dog, you know, all sorts of stuff. There's all kinds of communications. I had 303,000 WhatsApp messages.
And that includes, my belief, based on previous discussions with you, that includes journalistic source protected information.
Source protecting information, also people's phone numbers, conversations that I've had, emails that may have been sent between us, you know.
I mean, because the reason I'm making that point, of course, is that some folk may not realise, but obviously News UK has a track record in the past of having handed over confidential sourcing to the police.
Yeah.
So was that part of your concern?
Well, I was, at that particular moment, it wasn't, but it became part of my concern as we went on, because initially I was just a bit shocked that, you know, I was in shock anyway. You know, I was kind of going, well, why would you want my phone overnight? I've just shown it to you. I've just shown you there's nothing on there. And it turns out, again, because I spoke to my...
That's kind of the problem, Mike,
my
I think.
internet expert, and he said, well, because
you've got nothing to
probably
show that you were
to see
hacked.
if you deleted it. Because if you deleted anything,
there would be evidence
it would show that you deleted it. And I went, okay. So then we had a conversation around, well, how can we make this work for everybody so that everybody's happy? And because I'd said, I don't really think I want to give you my phone unconditionally, you know, is there not some other way we can do it? And so then asked me to come back in for another meeting on the Wednesday, and this was this time with a member of the cyber security team, who also went through my phone and didn't find it, right? And then gave me some information about how I could protect myself. And I was kind of like, it's a bit late really, isn't it? But thank you very much indeed. So that was Wednesday. And then by Thursday, they'd come up with another plan, which was to have me sign a document which said, we'll take your phone overnight and your iPad, we'll give you another phone, and we'll mirror it, but we won't look at the bits we don't need to look at. And I kind of went, okay, well, that's fine, but how do I know that I can take your word for that? Because in the end, you'll have my entire phone.
You didn't trust them?
Well, I thought it was a bit of a risk. Let's put it that way, you know? Because frankly, I guess I was about to say between you and I, because this feels very cozy, but of course it's between you and I and a couple of
hundreds of thousands of others.
Thank you for watching, by the way. I thought, you know, at the very least, there is some information in my phone that if the company that I worked for saw what it was, and I'm talking about confidential conversations with people that they might not like very much, they'd probably fire me anyway. That was kind of in my head, you know?
Yeah.
And just also on the whole principle of overreach and privacy, even if you weren't talking about confidential sources, if you weren't talking about, private pictures or, videos that you might have, any of that stuff, or, my entire sort of, internet history, which I'm sure they could probably get off it as well. I said, look...
I would not let an employer clone my phone. However, this guy's still a lying fuck. I don't think this makes any difference whatsoever. Like, the reason you're being asked to have your phone cloned is because you've been unable to show that you were hacked up until that point. Because you weren't. Because you're a fucking liar. It's that simple.
If you don't mind, I'd still feel a bit uncomfortable. I think I might take some advice on this. Because you're saying that you're going to give it to lawyers, so maybe I should talk to a lawyer. And so that's what I did.
And they said, hell no.
And they said,
don't be so ridiculous, Mike Graham.
Yeah, do not even think about it. They said there's absolutely no
And these
reason,
are heavy-hitting lawyers,
very heavy-hitting lawyers. There's no reason why they should be asking for it. You've already shown them the phone. And in fact, we sent, eventually, when the first lawyer's sort of email went, it said, when you looked at Mike's phone in the office, that should have been the end of the matter, quite frankly. So the problem clearly was that they were in a bad place because...
Well, it wasn't the end of the matter because you didn't present any evidence that you were hacked, right? It could have been the end of the matter there if you showed them the phone and showed them activity, access from Pakistan, And then okay, sure. We see it, Mike, we see it. That wasn't there though, was it?
The people that had complained, obviously, have a lot of power inside the organisation. I think this is part of the problem with these huge media companies now, because they've got so many strands, they've got so many pieces to the jigsaw. They've got the Wall Street Journal, they've got HarperCollins, they've got the
woke mind virus infiltrated the company.
Sport, yes, exactly. And so, for example, many people don't know this, but in years gone by. By the way, during lockdown, HarperCollins staff gone for about 18 months. You never saw them. I was going in every day. Sometimes I was the only person in the office. When they came back, they asked for my show not to be broadcast in the lift because it was so upsetting. I'm not joking. This is nothing against news, by the way. I'm just describing the work atmosphere.
This is the culture.
This is the culture.
This is the culture. By the way, Mike, lots of people are asking if we are live. We are live right now. This is broadcasting live right now. And I think what's really important is that our audience get to ask some questions to the outspoken audience. And on that note, Mike, Ken Reed asks, why did you refuse to cooperate with the Talk investigation?
Well, that's not an easy question to answer because, one, I didn't refuse to cooperate, but I will tell you over the course of the next hour exactly where it all went, And I think as soon as I enlisted the help of some lawyers, I think they took a different view and decided that we were now kind of, their tone...
At war.
Yeah, their tone was always quite firm, but it sort of started to become slightly less friendly, shall we say, And they kept moving the goalposts as well. So, we basically tried to find a way that I would be happy with showing them stuff and that they would be happy with seeing stuff.
This has been a bit of a briefing war too.
Yeah.
Because it's only fair that you are able to respond to what News UK briefed about you, again to the Daily Express, which they headlined the bombshell real reason Mike Graham was axed from Talk TV. And this was a source at News UK telling the Daily Express Mike Graham had to go. He claimed that his phone had been hacked, but everyone was skeptical of that explanation. He claimed that someone had hacked his Facebook account, but also hacked his iCloud and posted the offensive statement. News UK bosses gave him the benefit of the doubt and told him that they would allow Mike and his legal representative to stand in a room with two forensic phone experts who would be able to go through his phone and figure out if he was actually hacked, who hacked the phone, and what else they accessed. While Mike initially agreed to submitting his phone, he didn't turn up on the agreed date and time. So News UK gave him another date, and again, Mike did not turn up. This happened 4 times. 4 times he refused to hand over his phone. So News UK took the decision to end their working relationship with him. Is that true?
Well, do you know what's interesting about that? It's partially true, but sort of a slight misrepresentation of what happened. But how would they know how many meetings there were? You know, these are conversations that were only going on between my lawyers, their lawyers, and me.
Well, I would say this was clearly brief. I mean, I know how these things work. This was clearly...
What? Who is this coming from? Wait, obviously someone at the company is saying, like, dude. None of it makes any sense. None of the excuses make any sense. It's so fucking mind-numbing, dude. There's no way this shit's working on people. It is, man. It is. Of course it is. I can't fucking take it, bro.
But also hacked his iCloud and posted the offensive statement. News UK bosses gave him the benefit of the doubt and told him that they would allow Mike and his legal representative to stand in a room with 2 forensic phone experts who would be able to go through his phone and figure out if he was actually hacked, who hacked the phone, and what else they accessed. While Mike initially agreed to submitting his phone, he didn't turn up on the agreed date and time. So News UK gave him another date, and again, Mike did not turn up. This happened 4 times. 4 times he refused to hand over his phone. So News UK took the decision to end their working relationship with him. Is that true?
Well, do you know what's interesting about that? It's partially true, but sort of a slight misrepresentation of what happened. But how would they know how many meetings there were? You know, these are conversations that were only going on between my lawyers, their lawyers, and me.
Well, I would say this was clearly brief. I mean, I know how these things work. This was clearly brief from the top at News UK. They wanted their side out there.
Right. Which is pretty unfortunate, really, because I think that was probably rather unfair because, again, to go through the whole kind of process. So on the following, so we're now at the following Monday, which would be the 27th, I guess.
So you've been off air for 4 days at this point.
So I've now been off air for 4 days. And
people are starting to wonder at this point.
And not getting paid, by the way, right?
So what, they stopped your pay the moment they took you off?
Well, I only get paid per show.
Okay.
So when I'm not working, I don't get paid, you know? So, and I'm starting to wonder where this is all going, you know? So they said, so when we went back to them and said, look, we're not comfortable handing the phone over to News UK lawyers, right? Because that was the law firm they wanted to give it to. We said, could we not agree on a sort of mutually independent person who could look at the phone? Would that be possible? And after a bit of toing and froing, they agreed that that would be possible. So my side gave them 5 possible companies that they could use, and they rejected all of them.
All of them?
All of them. Yeah. And we're going, and my lawyers, who are very good, were saying, this is outrageous. You know, how can they reject all 5 of them out of hand? And instead they came up with yet another one that they wanted to appoint, who my cyber guy said, we've never heard of this guy. We don't know who he is. And we're not sure what qualification he has. And in fact, my lawyers at one point said, you know, the fact that he's possibly unqualified to look at this.
So you didn't trust the process?
But by this time, we were asking questions about the process, right? And so again, they said, we're going to need your iPad and we're going to need your phone and we're going to need it for approximately 9 hours. And there was no suggestion that I would be able to stand there and watch them, you know, because that would be a much shorter process. Because I later learned that in order to do this mirroring thing, you need a particular piece of software. It takes a little while to download the whole phone. And you have to basically go through every single thing that's connected. And so there was no question, obviously, of me standing around watching them for 4 or 5 hours. So
and you just weren't prepared to do it?
Well, until I was happy that they were only looking at certain things. And so I then decided maybe the best thing to do is for me to order a forensic investigation with an independent firm and see what they find, right? And so we went ahead with that. It took a couple of days. And then we told them that we'd done that. And we said, you know, would you be interested in having us send you the report that we have gleaned, which I've paid for, through a company that I had no connection with whatsoever, you know, completely independent, very well respected.
And they found you a hack, yeah?
And they kind of said, well, you know, we'll obviously be interested in any kind of information that you may wish to add, but we still want your phone. You know, it kept going back to, we still want your phone. And yes, they did. Then they, again, every time we'd go into a weekend, and because sometimes there'd be a couple of days before we'd get a reply, you know, which was part of the real drama of it, because, you know, I'd be sitting there going to my lawyers, what, you know, why they're not answering us?
So
what are they doing?
Stalemate.
It had become very much lawyers talking to lawyers. You know what that can be like. You know, they've got this kind of, you know, big swinging dick.
And at this point, had you sort of accepted I'm probably not going back?
Not quite, because I wasn't absolutely sure. It was very clear that they were in turmoil, because obviously there were people in the building who didn't want me to go, whereas there were also people in the building who did, for all sorts of reasons, you know, and maybe not this one. So it sort of, it ceased becoming about the Post in the end, and it more became about how are we going to get out of this with any kind of credibility at all. And it started to occur to me that they can't get out of it without getting rid of me, because if they bring me back, you know what's going to happen. They're going to be watching me like a hawk. They might say, you can't be quite as outrageous as you used to be. We have to clip your wings a little bit. We might make sure that you don't go banging on about it, migrants all the time, you know, because we were doing migrants before anybody, you know, as it were. We were talking about how ridiculous it was before anybody. And, you know, when you went to GB News, obviously GB News, you know, picked up that, you know, our kind of model.
Talk right through 2020, we were doing it first, without any doubt.
And you know, suddenly there was GB News as well, which we actually welcomed, even though some of us weren't that happy that some people went. I mean, we understood, obviously, nobody was unhappy that you went, because we thought, well, you're the star, so, you know. But there were some other people who went that we weren't quite so happy about. Anyway, I have to get out of the habit of saying we, don't I?
You do.
It's hard. It is.
It's hard.
You know,
I found that for a long time, Mike, because
I was talking to a producer earlier, and I said, because they were asking about how it worked in terms of just the studio setup and everything, and I went, well, you know, we didn't. I was like, just got to stop saying we.
It's sad. It's sad. Look, I think one of the reasons why people are so genuinely upset, and you know what a reaction this has had, is because I always say to people, look, if you'd cut Mike Graham open, he would have bled Talk TV. And it was a bit of the same with me at GB News. You know, you would have cut me open, I would have led GB News. We were very passionate. We were a big part of those companies becoming what they were. And so you like to think that you're going to get some sort of loyalty back. But of course, that isn't how the corporate media works. It doesn't. And you've realised that the hard way.
Yeah, I have. Absolutely.
And so
how do they bring themselves to this? They both know they're like lying to each other, and they just sit there and repeat fucking lies back. It's so crazy.
The post having been made, and there's no evidence of the picture being on your phone. The picture from the tube.
Yes, and no evidence of either of them being deleted either. Right? I.e., that, you know, I didn't have them.
So they're saying there's no evidence these pictures being from his phone. So where are they from? It should be easy to reverse image search as shit. No, you should be able to reverse image search as shit. Or did you just take these photos?
Cash.
So this is your own independent report, but it wasn't commissioned. Well, it was commissioned by you, but it wasn't conducted by anyone connected to you. An independent investigation.
Independent investigation. I mean, I can't remember the name of the firm, but I've
got
it.
So it didn't say that you'd been hacked, but it said there's no evidence of the post having been made, and there's no evidence of the picture being on your phone, the picture from the tube.
Yes, and no evidence of either of them being deleted either. Right? I.e., that, you know, I didn't have them, so they were never there.
So you hoped that might change News UK's mind, but it didn't.
Well, I thought it gave them an opportunity, because in my view...
Why don't you just show your Facebook account, show your Facebook logins?
I was kind of trying to see whether I could help them out by giving them a reason, because they could have said at that point, look, we've seen this independent report, we're satisfied that, you know, Mike certainly didn't do it, and so we're going to reinstate him. And most of our emails at that point were saying to them, when are you going to reinstate Mike? Because, you know, it seems as though you don't have any evidence that he did it.
So when did you find out that wasn't going to happen?
Well, so we get to Thursday, and I think, again, having waited a couple of days to hear nothing at all, my lawyer sent them an email saying, look, we need to know why you're not reinstating Mike. Have you got a reason? Because it's now week 3. He's losing a significant amount of money. He's under enormous stress, you know, independently, bizarrely.
Reputation being destroyed.
My reputation's under threat. Independently, by the way, I was also, because I have a cardiologist who looks after me, even though people always tell me that you're a fat heart attack waiting to happen, I'm actually quite healthy. So I had in the middle of all of this, I had to go in and give some blood so they could test it, right?
Yeah.
And then I had to go and see the cardiologist. And I actually had to take a call from my lawyer in the cardiologist, and I was going, I'm a bit stressed out, and he was cool. And he said, well, actually, your blood's fine, you've got absolutely no problems, your heart's fine, blood pressure might be a bit high, but there's a reason for that. And I said at one point in initial conversations with them that I was, in the care of a cardiologist. And at one point, one of the emails said, we've got no intention of causing you any stress. I was like, really? Okay, then. So we basically sent them a note on the Thursday to say, look, can you please give us an explanation as to why this is taking so long and why you're not reinstating Mike? And if you're not, could you tell us why? Friday came and went. Nothing. I had the worst weekend, I think, of my life. I was down in Sussex with my family, and I was just bereft. I was just like, what's going on? And, I can't afford not to work. I mean, they were paying me very well. And as I say, I wasn't expecting to be off for that long length of time. And people were saying to me, you've never been off this long from talk in your life. Because I used to kind of bulk at going on holiday for more than 10 days. I used to, my family would be like, can we not go for 2 weeks? I'm like, no, I need to be back on the air, right?
You loved what you did.
I loved what I did. And let's face it, it's not, cracking rocks in the hot sun, I mean, it's actually very enjoyable and, it's not easy to do, but, you and I...
You loved your audience.
Yeah, and I felt a duty to them, actually, because one of the things that's really cheered me during this whole episode has been the people who remember what I did during lockdown, who remember how I got them through, who say, if it hadn't been for you, Mike, I think I'd have gone mad.
They're with you. And they are still with you, and they are furious with talk, which obviously we'll come to. So that weekend passes, and then you get the phone call.
No. So Monday then comes and goes. Nothing, right? Tuesday comes and goes. We get to 4 o'clock Tuesday, still nothing, right? From Thursday, not an answer. And I'm thinking, are they just going to stall me out until
Okay, I'm sick of just the bitching, like, oh my God, it took so long to tell me.
The news that
So it's the announcement he's fired. Fully fired.
Surreal.
Bit North Korean, I thought.
Yeah.
Dude, what? The announcement, they say, oh yeah, Mike Graham's not coming back. That's North Korean. It's a bit North Korean, isn't it? Getting fired from your job. It's a bit North Korean in here.
But listen, I don't...
What, cold? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I thought the statement that the company put out was a bit cold. And people that don't even know what my relationship is with the company said, that was cold, man. It didn't even thank me for what I'd done. I mean, listen, I'm not a baby. I don't need patting on the head. But,
Really? Are you sure?
I think if it had been me in the studio, I might have said something like, really sorry to see Mike go. Obviously not talking about myself, but, we worked together for a long time.
What if they won, Mike? What if they won?
Well, or something like that. But, I also get that sometimes the old 3-line whip comes down and goes, look, you can't do any of that.
I mean, you and Julia Hartley-Brewer had obviously been talk.
Yeah, totally.
Talk radio for a long time.
We really were.
Very, very close colleagues. Friends as well, would you say?
Totally, yeah.
So what's the status now? Because I believe it's been a bit difficult over the past
to be
few
honest,
weeks.
I mean, I don't really want to get into individuals there because I think, I've got some great friends there and I've got some other people who I don't know quite so well. And I have no problem with the way that they're having to deal with it because it must be awful for them as well,
Right.
And so I don't expect, constant mentions or anything like that. I get that, because I know the way the company works. So when you're gone, you're gone. So we'll be okay, I think.
There's been quite a lot of feedback on this, though, Mike, including from outspoken viewers.
Yeah.
Chris Stokes, for example, said, why do you think Gary Lineker's fellow presenters stood with him when he was suspended from Match of the Day and refused to go on air, forcing a climb down from the BBC, but Jeremy Kyle and Kevin O'Sullivan seemed happy to step badly into Mike's shoes and not back him? Reform UK Grassroots posted, it would be great if Mike Graham's colleagues at Talk TV stood by his side and threatened to quit if he wasn't reinstated. You all know who you are. The alternative is all your viewers and listeners switch to GB News. Either way, you'll have to lose your jobs, your call. So, I mean, this is not coming from me. I know a lot of these people are great people, but aren't we quite bad on the right, Mike, in terms of actually sometimes standing up for each other?
Oh my God.
Again, I can't fault any.
Oh, I can't believe no one stood up for Mike. Okay, fuck it. I feel like we've gotten all we're gonna get from this. This is gonna be a fucking sob story the whole time. There's like all the right wingers criticizing him too. He shows them the Tommy Robinson clips and shit like that. I don't really care about any of that. I do believe he's done something else There's more to this. Yeah, so he's been doing some public speaking appearances.
So, Mike, good afternoon. My name is Wendell Daniel.
Hi, Wendell.
I'm currently live streaming. I need to ask you a question
Yeah.
in regards to Tommy Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, you have been condemning Tommy Robinson as a racist for many, many years. You have been accused of racism, and I believe you may have been sacked or kicked out of Talk TV.
Yeah.
What do you have to say now that you have also been called the same as Tommy?
Well, I've had a lot to say. I've already done a big interview.
With Dan Wootton, but you're interviewing with me.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't really got...
Wait, there's a longer video, better video.
We don't want them here. We don't need them here, and they shouldn't be here. And we certainly don't want them anywhere near this town in Wethersfield. 600 of them being busted. I was listening to a show the other day. They're getting busted to spend your money in that place over there where they're buying alcohol, they're getting lagered up, and then going and assaulting our children, okay? And it's disgusting. And Keir Starmer and his shitty, awful, crappy government are to blame, right? You know why? Because it's got worse since they got in, hasn't it? Only a few years ago, I remember, it was fine to go down the street in London without worrying about getting your phone stolen or your fucking car window smashed in, right?
When have you ever not had to worry about crime in London? Huh?
Which happened to me both times, and nobody seemed to think there was anything weird about it. You know, we live in a great country. This is a brilliant country. This is a brilliant county. This Essex town, I've never seen so many Essex girls in my life. Apart from when I used to go to Stringfellows years ago. But, you know, you guys are the heart and soul of this country. It's not about race, it's not about colour. You know, there's plenty of people here who are not white. There's plenty of people here who support your cause.
Mate, is that... what do I see there? What do I see here? Is that what I think it is? That's young Bob, isn't it? That's young Bob. That dirty fucking yank sellout traitor. Dude. No way you travelling to Chelmsford for the Mike Graham talk.
Your case, not because they're racist, but because they just want to live their lives fairly. They want to pay their taxes fairly. They do not want to be ripped off, and they certainly don't want to be paying billions and billions of fucking pounds to these coming into this country from Eritrea, from Sudan, from fucking Afghanistan, right?
From these what?
Country from Eritrea, billions and billions of fucking pounds to these.
Huh? Why was that censored?
Fairly. They want to pay their taxes fairly. They do not want to be ripped off, and they certainly don't want to be paying billions and billions of fucking pounds.
Because he says fuck there.
To these coming in.
What word is censored there? Did he actually drop a full fucking slur there?
Fairly. They want to pay their taxes fairly. They do not want to be ripped off, and they certainly don't want to be paying billions and billions of fucking pounds to these coming into this country from Eritrea, from Sudan, from fucking Afghanistan, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? See some flags here. I'm surprised that local council haven't come around to confiscate them and lock you up. Because, you know, that's what you get locked up for now. You don't get locked up for raping and assaulting girls. You get locked up around a flag. It's bloody ridiculous, right?
These days, you say you're... These days, you say you're English, you'd be arrested and thrown in jail. Just saying it. These days... I actually saw some polling, some YouGov polling, last night about this. Both white and ethnic minority adults tend to see the recent raising of flags on lampposts as being primarily about anti-migrant or anti-minority sentiment. Those displaying England flags, mostly as an expression of national pride, 25% all adults, 26% white adults. Mostly as a way of expressing anti-migrant and or anti-ethnic minority sentiment, 50% general, 49 white, both equally, 19 all, 19 white. So people do broadly they see it as being motivated by racism, basically. Yeah, so most people are doing it to do that, feel uncomfortable with it. Has become a racist symbol to the England flag. 36% white adults, 52% of ethnic minority. That makes sense. That makes sense. And very few think that about the Union Jack, which makes sense. Whoops.
So listen, I pledge to you, I've been away for a while, on leave apparently. I was never suspended, no. I wasn't even sacked, according to my lawyers, who cost a fucking lot of money, by the way. And I'm going to be back on December the 1st. And guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be doing a breakfast show. But it's not going to start at 6, because that's too bloody early. It's going to start at 7. And it's going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be massive, right? And we're going to be talking about migrants, and we're going to be talking about why they shouldn't be here, and we're going to be continuing the campaign that the Pink Ladies have done so brilliantly with Ola and all of you, because this is only the beginning, right? Look at the state of that absolute wanker, Keir Starmer, right? Look at him. He wakes up every morning and goes, oh my God, even my fucking wife hates me, you know. He threw his own son under the bus the other day. Can you imagine? Yeah, my dad's the Prime Minister, but he's just a twat. You know, he will do anything that we can make him do, because he's weak, he's got no backbone, and he's got no philosophy of life, okay? So you keep pushing him, and he will fold like a bad suit, right? So keep up the good work. I love you all. I'm sorry the weather is a bit chilly. My advice is to drink an awful lot of brandy, possibly Jack Daniels. I've been assaulted.
I've got no legal, I've got no insurance.
Listen, you guys, for coming out in this weather, I salute you. I salute your cause. I'm part of your cause. We will continue to fight these absolute and utter invaders who should not be in this country, who should be out of this country before the end of the year. We'll do our very best to do it. Keep the faith. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.
This is Wendell Daniel. I'm currently live streaming. I need to ask you a question in regards to Tommy Robinson.
Okay.
As you know, you have been condemning Tommy Robinson as a racist from many...
Look at this, bro. Look, the absolute fucking state of it, bro. Young Bob hanging around here, and this fucking middle-aged slag with a fucking plastic cup with a pint in it.
Many years. You have been accused of racism, and I believe you may have been sacked or kicked out of Talk TV. What do you have to say now that you have also been called the same as Tommy?
Well, I've had a lot to say. I've already done a big interview.
With Dan Wharton, but you're interviewing with me.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't really got much to say about Tommy. Tommy and I don't get on. You know.
But you've been calling him a racist, and you are now being labelled as a racist, so what do you have to say?
Well, shit happens, is what I can say. Shit happens, man. That's it. Goodbye, mate. Give him my regards.
I will do.
I'll see him soon.
But I'm currently live streaming on Tommy Robinson's YouTube and Tommy's Twitter.
Okay.
Will you be inviting him as one of your guests onto your show?
You never know. Wait and see.
So possibly.
Wait and see.
Excellent. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, ain't happening. He fucking hates Tommy. Ain't happening.
I love you. I've been like sending you messages.
Sorry, can I just give us a minute? Adam.
Dude.
I don't listen to Talk anymore since you left. I really miss you on there.
I'll be back.
The mornings are not the same.
I really miss you. I really miss you on Talk TV. I really miss you. That was only Jeremy Cole.
Back. I'll be back. Thank you.
1st of December. You look really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you say 1st of December you start?
1st of December, yeah. Nope.
Thank you.
Just to confirm.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
Nice to finally meet.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm here with Mike Graham, the Mike Graham. Mike obviously has been an eventful few week.
It has been, yeah.
One thing I noticed there, what you said this is not about colour, this is not about race.
No.
Can you tell me why you're here today?
I'm here today because I think the Pink Ladies have done an amazing
Where's with all the fucking music, man?
job of raising awareness, right? Started in Epping, now we're here in Chelmsford, because this is not just a one-town problem, it's a national problem. And they've given the voice, I think, to so many women and families who just feel like, you know, they just want to raise their kids. You know, I've got kids, you've got kids. We just want them to be able to live in this country without fear or favour of going out at night, worrying about who's there, people coming into this country who we don't know. You know, we've been talking about migrants on my show for years, right? Suddenly now it's the big topic, and now even the bloody BBC want to talk about it, you know? And I just think that I wanted to come here because I wanted to show, because it's all very well, so many of us, we sit in studios and we talk, I don't know where we're talking here, but can I swear? I shouldn't really. But we talk bollocks, right? And I thought, you know what, sometimes you need to go out there and actually join in with what people are doing. It's freezing cold, it's not a very nice day, and I thought, you know, it will mean a lot to these guys if I can come out.
Yeah, and look, I've got 2 daughters. The reason I was outside the Bell Hotel was for my daughters primarily. It was my reporting that obviously blew it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But one thing I appreciate with Warner and the latest is they've turned the perception that we're some far right club.
Yeah,
and it's,
you know,
Does it ever become listenable again?
It's time that people like me stood up and said, do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And you know, I've been to a few of these protests now. The message doesn't seem to sink into the government. Why do you think that is?
Because I think it's too easy for them to make.
What message is not sinking in? This is an asylum hotel protest. They're upset about the asylum hotels. Okay. The government is doing literally everything they can to close the asylum hotels. They're even starting to use disused military sites to get the fucking hotels closed. How is the message not sinking in exactly?
Count that, oh, you know, those right-wingers, they're just horrible, they just don't like migrants, they're racist. You know, this is not, as I said before, it's not about skin colour, it's not about nationality, it's about people coming here illegally who have absolutely no right to be here, whether they're from Albania, whether they're from Romania, whether they're from Afghanistan or Eritrea, it doesn't matter. They can be from any country in the world, but they shouldn't be here. And they need to be punished for coming here illegally. They've committed a crime, and they need to be kicked out straight away.
Simple stuff. Why do you think there's no lefties here today? No stand up to racism? Is it the weather?
No, the lefties don't like bad weather, right? They don't like mornings, they don't like bad weather. I was up at the Reform Conference, and on a Friday afternoon, there's loads of them, right? I went in Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, none of them, because they don't wake up, you know, they're all still lying there in their, you know, lentil sacks, whatever they sleep in, with their, you know...
the music is unbearable.
Nice to see you again.
Bizarre that this guy gets so much support after being such a cuck about this whole thing. Really is.